You sit down with the new journal, lace up the freshly bought running shoes, and promise yourself that this time is different. But within 9 days, you are right back at the same desk, eating the exact same snack at the exact same time. When that loop resets, the instinct is to point the finger inward. You assume you lack discipline. But almost every behavioral researcher who has actually measured what runs your day will tell you that you are blaming the completely wrong system. The guilt you feel over a collapsed routine comes from the assumption that you were behind the wheel. In reality, you are fighting an invisible, automated process that operates entirely outside your conscious control. A psychologist named Wendy Wood spent decades pinning a number to this. She and her teams ran massive diary studies, asking people to log exactly what they did, where they did it, and how much conscious thought they put into it. This chart visualizes her core finding. Roughly 45% of your daily behavior happens in the same physical space, at the same time, with zero conscious decision attached. Think about your computer keyboard. You can probably type a long paragraph without looking at your hands. Now try to list the keys on the second row, in order from left to right. Most people stumble around the letter T. The skill lives in your fingers, not in your verbal mind. That gap between what you can execute and what you can consciously describe is what a habit feels like. The script is triggered by the room you are in, and you cannot defeat a script with sheer effort if you don't even realize it's running. To see what actually builds these automated scripts, we look at a famous study from University College London. Researcher Phillippa Lally tracked nearly 100 volunteers as they tried to lock in one small new behavior, like taking a short walk or drinking a glass of water after breakfast. This scatter plot shows the actual timeline for those new behaviors to become automatic. While the media often quotes the average of 66 days, the real story is this scattered spread. The data ranges from a lightning-fast 18 days all the way out to a sluggish 254 days. If habit formation relied entirely on grit and determination, you would expect a tight, neat curve, peaking directly around the people who simply tried the hardest. Instead, the data reveals a massive variance, and the strongest predictor of landing on the fast 18-day side of the curve was a highly stable, tightly cued physical environment. The group that dragged out to the 8-month mark possessed the exact same levels of motivation. They were simply trying to force their new behaviors into chaotic, unpredictable daily environments. Your odds of successfully locking in a routine rely vastly more on the physical room you inhabit than the internal drive you feel. Wood ran another study tracking college students who watched heavy amounts of television. When those students moved to a new dorm, the ones who seamlessly broke their TV habit were the ones whose new room happened to have a layout that placed the screen in an awkward or hidden spot. Behavioral scientists call this choice architecture. You change human behavior by cutting a physical step out of a good path, or adding a small physical hurdle in front of a bad one. Consider an office worker who constantly buys a donut from the break room at 3 p.m. The cue is the walk past the vending machine. By simply rerouting their walk to the bathroom down a different hallway, the visual cue vanishes, completely saving the willpower budget that would have been spent resisting the snack. Once a behavior is formed, willpower acts as an emergency brake against an environmental cue. It is infinitely more efficient to dismantle the cue itself. This research reframes the way we think about identity. The version of yourself you want to become, the runner, the reader, the writer, is built by the accumulated count of times you showed up. These repetitions are exactly what move you along that Lally curve until the action becomes a part of who you are. To guarantee you hit those repetitions, you implement a minimum viable habit. You shrink the target behavior down to a laughably small scale. Read 1 page, do 1 push-up, write 1 single sentence. These micro-habits succeed long-term because they don't require massive willpower spikes to execute. They keep the behavior paired with the environmental cue, even on exhausted, low-motivation days. You lock that pairing in with an implementation intention. You move away from vague wishes and program a precise sequence anchored to an existing moment. After I pour my coffee, I will sit on the couch for 2 minutes. You can then use habit stacking to bolt a tiny new behavior directly onto an action you already do automatically. The old routine acts as the trigger, allowing you to ride on neurological infrastructure your brain has already paid for. These friction-reducing tools act as vital fail-safes, harvesting progress on the bad days when effort runs out. Motivation is best understood as starting fluid. It is a temporary burst of energy that should be used strictly to physically redesign your daily environment. While your drive is high, you do the boring infrastructure work. You move the television to a different wall. You put your running shoes directly in front of the front door. You delete the scrolling app off your phone entirely. Promising to try harder next week is a guaranteed loss. You are betting a highly exhaustible break against an automated script the room is running on loop. People who succeed at long-term change do not possess superior discipline.